What's up, everyone? My name's James. Welcome to Muzz TV, and this is the first video on my channel. I wanted to get involved with the conversation around this new Premier League season. Today, the first game of the Premier League season kicks off with Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. I'm hyped. I've missed football since the minute that Man City lift that trophy. Honestly, can't wait for football to come back. I'm so stoked for this next season. And I thought, what better way to get involved with the conversation than to go through my predicted Premier League table for the upcoming season. Never done one of these videos before, so bear with me if it's at all a little bit bumpy, but we're going to get through it all together. So I'll explain my table for you here in a second. So you can see here at the bottom, I've got relegation, but there's going to be 3 coming up, and there'll be 3 coming down by the end of the season. The next category is in for a bit of a battle. I think these bottom 2 categories probably the hardest to gauge. There's a lot of teams that you can't really predict Premier League form, who's going to show up on the day, and who's going to get a string of bad injuries, that we've seen in years coming. So then the next category, we've got best of the bottom, 11 through 13, but rounding out the bottom half. Then we've got the top half, we've got potential European places, Champions League, and the champions. Pretty self-explanatory, but let's get into it. So, we're starting at the bottom, and I'll do these all at the same time, but my 3 are Bournemouth in 20th, Fulham in 19th, Brentford in 18th. I'll start with Bournemouth. I just think that they haven't brought in enough to make this team a Premier League team at the moment. Scott Parker, young upcoming coach, but I think he's going to struggle with the resources that he has this year. I unfortunately just don't see how they end up staying up. They've had a lot of outgoing, nothing coming in. So, yeah, unfortunately, not high hopes if you're a Bournemouth fan, but being in the Premier League in itself creates a whole lot of opportunity, even if you eventually go back down. So, next, we've got Fulham at 19th. This is a hard one. It's pretty hard to gauge this year. Fulham finished first last year in the Championship. And Mitrovic was dominant, but we've seen how it goes with him in the Premier League. I just don't think that he's going to have the same firepower. And their style of play is going to shift pretty dramatically from last season, where they're able to be the bigger team, I guess. This season, they're going to be up against it. They have brought in some pretty notable players. Bernd Leno coming in is a really good signing. I think he's easily, in my opinion, one of the best second-choice goalkeepers at Arsenal. Second-choice goalkeepers for any team when he was at Arsenal. And they've also done some nice signings. I think Andres Pereira, interesting to see how that one could go. He's never really got the chance to really shine at Man United. And also Paulinho. Apologies if I don't say it 100% correctly, but he looks a good signing too. So there's potential there, but I think they're going to struggle, and they're going to have to be on the back foot. They have made good defensive signings, but unfortunately I don't see it being enough for them to stay up this season. Brentford. This is one we all want to see work out. Brentford are a smaller team that have managed to work their way up, not by spending lots of money, but by spending smart. And I think it's going to be a difficult season for Thomas Frank this season. Last year, they were kind of going through a battle to stay up. And when they got Christian Eriksen to come into the team, I think it really gave them a big boost. A lot of creativity was coming through him. Last season finished 13th, which is fantastic. First season up. I think they may suffer a little bit from the second season syndrome this year and may go down. Their incomings, Hickey's come in and Ben Mee's come in, which are decent signings, but I just don't think that it's going to be enough. They have got good potential from set piece. It's a very big team, very tall team, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough. But hey, 18th position is one of the hardest ones to call. Like I said before, you never know who's going to have a good season, who's going to have a bad season. But that rounds off the relegation zone. So next category, we've got the in for a battle. And again, we're going to do all these at the same time because a lot of these could be interchangeable. So predicted 17th, Leeds. That may be a shocker for some people. 16th, we've got Southampton. 15th, we have Everton. And 14th, newly promoted, Nottingham Forest. So we'll start again on the bottom side, Leeds. Leeds were really struggling with injuries last year. Bamford played about 4 games. So I think this season having him back could be really, really good. But that wasn't the only issue that they faced last year. And not to mention, they have huge outgoings in Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. I know Calvin Phillips had injuries as well last season, but without him there, I mean, you're taking away their 2 best players, in my opinion. And they've brought in some that they have spent, and they've bought players that are going to work for Marsh. But I don't know how long Marsh is going to last in the role. I think Tyler Adams is a really good signing, but I just think that they're going to be up for it again. Marsh could be one of the first Premier League managers to get sacked. They've got a good run at the beginning. They've got to get points where they can. But yeah, I'm expecting them to be taking part in what could be another relegation battle. Southampton. Southampton were on the end of some floggings last year, and Hasenhüttl has had a bit of time now to develop his team and make it more of his own. I think that the signing of Lavia is a good one, and it's definitely an ambitious one for the future. Obviously, a very high talent. But yeah, I'm not really inspired by the incomings. Last season, they didn't exactly impress. I think that this could be a season where they're facing relegation, and I think every point's going to matter for Southampton this year. Next up on our list, we have Everton. And Everton had a shocker last year. 16th place. And a lot of money spent. Obviously, Rafa Benitez coming in last year and going 14 games with only getting 1 victory, which was against us. But they were able to steer clear come the end. But, I just don't really see that much improvement from the team. They've lost Richarlison, and I think Richarlison was their best player. So I think, they have brought in Tarkowski and McNeil, which, could do something, but I just don't think they're adding more into the team, and they've lost. I'm also not convinced about Frank Lampard's defensive capabilities. He says he's trying to revolutionise the way that they're playing this season, and you don't want to base too much off pre-season, but in pre-season they've had some shockers. So I think it's going to be tough. Everton could easily go the same way it did last year. I think Lampard's going to have people galvanised around him initially, but if the results go in a similar fashion, he could be up for the sack, and at the same time, Everton could be facing relegation. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, have had a really busy and active transfer window. I mean, they're in the Premier League for the first time since 1999, which is just astounding for a club and with the history of Nottingham Forest. They've had several decent players come in. Nico Williams comes in, Jesse Lingard comes in, Omar Richards comes in. I mean, they've got a lot of potential coming in, and it could be decent for them. They have to watch out because obviously, when you put so many new players into a team, it can go one or two ways. It can gel, or it can just be like water and oil. Where it just doesn't mesh. And there's too much changes, and at the end of the day, this is a team that finished 4th in the championship last year. So they have some work to do, but I think with the incomings, I think they could have a good shout at staying up this season. My favourite of the teams coming up to stay up. Now, for the rest, we're going individually, and we're going to start with the best of the bottom, position 13. And this one, I've seen some people, go back and forth with Wolves. Of some people rate them highly this season, of some people, like me, who seem to think that it's not going to be as good this season. And I think if you look at last season, they spent the majority of the first half of the season contending for top positions. There was discussion that they're going to make European places. But there was a collapse at the end of the season. Bruno Lage plays very... it's not an exciting brand of football, and I think Wolverhampton fans are not all that impressed. I think they're getting a little bit bored. I think there's been very few incomings. I think Jimenez is currently injured. Pedro Neto coming in will be good, but yeah, I don't know how they're going to go this season, especially when you look at some of the statistics from last season. They were overperforming in expected goals for and expected goals against last season. Part of that from Sarr, who did a fantastic job in the between the sticks, but I'm not convinced of Wolves, and I think the other teams around them just have a little bit too much, and I'll leave them comfortably in the bottom half. Next, 12th position, Brighton. Now, this one, very similar. Now, when you look at these, 8 to 13 positions, a lot of people have many of the same teams in different positions. I think, obviously, Graham Potter did a fantastic job with Brighton last year. They were a strong team and a tough outfit to go away and get a win against. But they went on their runs where they just couldn't seem to get the points when it mattered. Overall, finished well last season in 9th. But Cucurella looks destined to leave, despite whatever club statements are coming out from Brighton. And Basuma going to Spurs is a huge loss for them. That's their two best players. Looking at their incomings, I don't see those shoes being filled all the way. I think they're still going to be a good team. Potter is seemingly the first name on a lot of lists when we're looking for new managers. But yeah, it could go one or two ways for them. I think they're going to do well. I think they'll be comfortably safe, but I don't think they'll finish as well as they did last season. And then moving on to 11th, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace under Patrick Vieira, obviously I'm a big fan, but you can see that he's really instilled a style of play with them, and they look like a young and exciting team. Last season, they had Conor Gallagher on loan. Obviously, he's gone back to Chelsea. That's going to be a big miss for them, but they did manage to get Jack Toure, and I think that is a insane transfer for them. That is going to really lift them up. All in all, I think their players have got a little bit of grow. I still think that they're a couple of players shy of guaranteeing themselves a guaranteed top half position. But I think they should be comfortably safe this season. I think Patrick Vieira is going to continue to grow as a coach as well, so it'd be interesting to see how hard he pushes teams. They proved very difficult last season for Arsenal, and we've got to get into the first game. So, I like Crystal Palace's chances this year, but didn't make top half for me. Now we move on to the top half of the table. Position 10, Aston Villa. Aston Villa have had an amazing window so far. Bringing in Kamara, Diego Carlos, completing the deal for Coutinho. They've had a really good transfer period. But when you look at the results from last season, they ended up in 15th position, if I'm correct. And you just think, that's too low. When it's all said and done, you haven't got the results. That is too low. And Steven Gerrard came in and he gave them an initial boost, but you can see thereafter and towards the end of the season that it dropped off considerably. They're a team that could finish 8th. They're a team that could finish 13th this season, even with the good window. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of comparisons with Gerrard and Lampard and it'll be interesting to see how they go. But they've strengthened the team. I think they're going to have a good season. You know, they still need, a few more players, but I think that, for my money, 10th place. 9th position, Leicester City. And, man, if I was a Leicester fan right now, I think I'd be stressing out. Leicester have brought in nobody so far. And that is dire at the moment. The fact that they've brought in nobody and they are currently trying to fend off clubs from poaching players like Fofana and Maddison, that is concerning. Not sure what's going on right now with them. I know they're definitely waiting for players to be sold. They've lost Kasper Schmeichel. I think that's a big loss for them. He's been with that club for so long and just a dependable player. I believe that they're going to be able to keep themselves on the top half. Last season, they were having a shocker as well, and then they finished 8th. So they can do it. It's going to be interesting if they don't bring in anybody. It's really going to be an issue for them. Brendan Rodgers, his job may be in question if they don't have a good season. But they're an established enough team now, and they're a recognised name after the miracle season. So I think they'll be able to bring in players. But yeah, they just really have to be clutching onto the players that they have in that team, because a lot of the established players in that team, like Vardy, aging. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one for them. But if you're a Leicester fan right now, you're probably worried. Newcastle in 8th position. Now, I've seen, people have high expectations for Newcastle now that they've been bought out, but they're doing this the right way. I tell you, when you go through their transfer windows, they're doing it in a calm and patient way. They haven't tried to do the Robinhos like Man City did. They are going for very smart buys, players that improve them immediately, but it's stepping stones. And I think that they've had another good window. I think Sven Botman is a really good buy. They got Target. I think he's a great buy for them. They're lacking a little bit of firepower. I think they're going to need to continue to strengthen. But the reason why I've had them in 8th position is because of the fact that that in January, when time arrives for the window to open, they're buying again, and they're going to keep going. They're currently looking at Maddison. They need a little bit more up front, and if they can poach from the teams around them, then they could be in a very, very good position coming into the year. Also, last season's form, the second half of the season, they were one of the form teams in the Premier League. They had a shocking start and still managed to finish 11th. 14 games without a win and still managed to finish 11th. That's very impressive. So, Newcastle my pick for 8th. Just missing out on any European possibilities. And now we get to the top of the table. So, 7th position. How controversial have I gone with it? Probably not controversial enough. But West Ham United. I think West Ham are just a solid outfit. Every time you go there as one of the bigger clubs, you're thinking, oh man, it's a tough game. And they lacked a little bit of consistency last season, but maybe that was due to being in Europe at the same time. They had a good run in Europa League. This season they have the Conference League, and to be honest, it's probably a better step for them. It may make them more able to balance the Premier League and the Conference League, and now they've got players that have been there, done that. Keeping Rice was huge for them. They've just brought in Skamaka. Skamaka relieves a lot of pressure from Antonio. I think that really opens up their options. He's a young player. He's got a lot of room to grow. and they've kept the players that mattered. So I think at the end of the day, they'll have another good season, but not enough to creep into the top 6. But I do think they'll have a good conference run and could win the thing when it's all said and done. But we're now made our way to the top 6, and in 6th position, my pick is Manchester United. A lot of this has been a common theme. I've seen a few other people have their predictions, and I think Manchester United is a safe vote for 6th. That squad's got a lot of problems, and bringing in a really good manager like Erik ten Hag is a great way of starting things off. But they haven't strengthened the areas that we all know that they need to strengthen. Bring in Malacia and getting rid of Alex Telles on loan. Does that improve the squad? They've brought in Lisandro Martinez, and look, people will say I'm a salty Arsenal fan, but when Arsenal were looking for him, he was a left back. When Man United are looking for him, it seems like he's for a centre back. And I'm thinking that he's going to maybe struggle. It's a different league. I know everyone bangs on about the height, but you just don't get as much time either. And when you look at Man United's defence already last season, it's just shambolic. It looks like they're going to stick by Maguire, which they have to do, to be fair. They've lost players like Paul Pogba, Edson Cavani. They're leaving the team, and there's not the same coming in. We've got Christian Eriksen, but Eriksen's not playing ahead of Bruno Fernandes. I'm not seeing the vision at the moment. Obviously, the big saga or transfer window has been Frankie de Jong. I don't think he's coming. And if he does, that gives him an immediate boost. But right now, we all know that they need more help in the middle of the park. And also, this Ronaldo saga is not helping morale at all. And look, he's far from the problem in Man United, but I wouldn't say he's the solution for this next season. So Manchester United to finish 6th, a better season than last season. Not so far off 5th position, but 6th position. All right. Now, top 5 is where it gets really juicy. And this was probably the hardest part of the list. I mean, that top 5 have all got a real shout at Champions League spots. And my 5th place is, unfortunately, Arsenal. As you can see, Arsenal fan. And, man, I want to believe just as much as anybody else that we're going to make the Champions League next year. But when you look at what's happening around us and the work we still have to do, it's going to be a really tough season. And, man, I think that we can creep in there if we perform. You don't want to have to account for people to slip. But there's always the possibility. Arsenal look outrageously good in the preseason. Gabriel Jesus coming in is just, it completely changes and upgrades the team. Last season, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Eddie Nketiah, and Alexander Lacazette did not score as many goals as Gabriel at centre-back. And you just know that regardless of how many goals he does end up scoring, that's not going to be the case with Gabriel Jesus. He's come in, he's going to make the team better, and he works for Mikel Arteta's vision. And I think it's going to be a real improvement. I think Arsenal have a better season than they did last year, which still makes it really difficult how they finish 5th. Alexander Zinchenko coming in, fantastic signing. Allows us to play that inverted fullback, gives us an option from Tierney, makes us more unpredictable. Can also play centre mid, probably won't, but can. Lots of rumours about who's coming in. William Saliba coming back, looks fantastic so far. It's got me excited for the new season. Arsenal have often been unprepared, and All or Nothing's just come out, and if you watch the first episode of that, you can see how unprepared they were for last season. This season, they're coming in prepared, in form. We'll see what happens tonight, but I expect a good season from Arsenal. I think they're going to make it a battle all the way, but I do think ultimately fall short, because I just think the teams above them have just a little bit more firepower and just a little bit of a more complete team. But it was incredibly close with my number 4, which is Chelsea. Chelsea, they've had a really rough go of it in the transfer window. Getting Raheem Sterling is a huge plus, and Koulibaly is no slouch, right? I think that they've got 2 fantastic players there. But when you look at their outings, they've managed to re-sign Aspie, but they've still lost Rudiger and Christensen and Lukaku. Big losses. I think Thomas Tuchel, he's got concerns with the current squad he's got. And I think that I always have the feeling that Chelsea are going to pull it off by the end of the window, that they're going to somehow make it work, where they're going to have what they need going into the season. But I tell you what, it was this close for me putting them in 5th position. And maybe it's me trying to be anti-biased, but you feel like they're going to pull it off. I don't think they're going to get the Ronaldo thing done. I'm hearing rumours of Aubameyang. I'm not sure that's what they need. Cucurella coming in, that's a good purchase, but not necessarily what they need. They need to cover the positions they need first before they start looking for competition within places. But all in all, Chelsea have got a really good team, and European champions within the team. I think they're probably going to be able to keep themselves above water, keep themselves in 4th, but any slips and they could fall dramatically. Thomas Tuchel is also running out of faith with the Chelsea fans, so it'll be an interesting season to see. I can only hope that they don't do as well as I think they're going to do, but they're in my 4th position, which now leaves 3 positions and one particular North London rival. But luckily enough, I don't think they're going to go any further than 3rd, but I do have them in that top 3, which is a huge shout. As an Arsenal fan, it's very hard to sit there and go, oh, they're going to be a good team. But when you look at the business that they've done, and the coach they've got at the wheel, Conte is on a mission. And not only has he significantly strengthened the team, he's brought in numerous quality players and addressed positions where they really needed help. Basuma coming in is one that, if Arsenal could land a player like Basuma, I would be over the moon. They've got Richarlison, which is just an upgrade and it provides relief for players like Son and Kane, who have gone down with injuries prior and has really cost Tottenham. But moreover, Jed Spence is a fantastic player. They've brought Perisic in. Lenglet is, I think he's more of a substitute, but on top of what they did in January, I think that they're really building a strong squad. But now there's no excuses for Tottenham. Tottenham have to perform, and if they don't finish 3rd, I think it's the most Spursy thing that they can do. Honestly, this season they've had Arsenal had a fantastic window of the Premier League clubs, but I think Tottenham have had the best window so far. I think they're in the running. Don't know if they're going to compete, because obviously we know who the last 2 teams are. But I think that they have got a strong squad. They've got squad depth now. They've got a fantastic coach. And all things considered, should have a good season, much to my chagrin. Now, top 2. And there's really no point in me doing these individually, but talking about them all together. These last couple of seasons, is it Liverpool or is it Man City? I think everyone is kind of on the same boat this year. I think it's between these two teams. And in second place, I have Liverpool, which means I have Man City as champions. Liverpool have rebuilt their team really well. You know, Sadio Mane leaving, managing to keep Salah. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, Mane is a huge loss. Like, it can't be overstated just how big of a player he has been since he arrived. I think that this means that it probably is going to be a little step off from where they were last season. But Darwin Núñez coming in, I think, is a really exciting signing. It's going to be hard until he gets a run of games in the Premier League to really tell how he's going to do. But he has the attributes to be a fantastic player for them. He's got the delivery. But what my thoughts about that is, so he's going to have the delivery from Salah, from Jota, from Luis Diaz. Sorry, slipped for me for a second. He's going to have, delivery from all these players, but they are now missing the delivery from Sadio Mane. And I think that leaves a little bit of a gap. They've also brought in Fabio Carvalho, who's going to be a big loss for Fulham, as he actually played a fair few games for him last season, but I think Liverpool are also got to be conscious of the age of the squad. They're lucky to have some really amazing young talent, but there are some players that you can probably expect are not going to hit new heights. So it'll be interesting to see this season. It could prove me wrong. They pushed Man City all the way last season. We wrote them off halfway through the season, and they came back. And that's just how good this team is under Klopp. I think, they're probably going to come back for a vengeance. With a vengeance, I should say. But, unfortunately, I just think Man City are way, way too good. Man City just go from strength to strength. Which other team in the Premier League can get rid of players like Gabriel Jesus and Sterling, and then still be seen as title contenders? Julian Alvarez looks an exciting player. Erling Haaland. I mean, look, I'll be the first to shout out that I think Gabriel Jesus is probably, one of the signings of the season, but I think Erling Haaland is the signing of the season. I think a lot was made of the whole Community Shield, but I just don't think that. I just don't think you can. You can look at his record and say that he won't deliver. The guy looks amazing, and he's so young. He's just going to grow into that team. Pep has got another really good talent there. I've just seen so much depth and so much, strength in that squad. Everyone can deliver. Everyone shows up in big moments. They're just so well drilled. They're hard to deny. So this season, I think Man City will be the champions. Not an outrageous pick, but there you go. So that's my list. Let me know what you thought. Tell me what I got wrong. Tell me what you thought I got right. Would love to hear what you have to say. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. It's been awesome to go through this and start the conversation. But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. Thanks, everyone. Bye.